Welcome friends, I'm so happy you're here, and I hope you like my new intro. I spent a little bit of time working on that for the past couple weeks, and I'm really happy with how it came out. It's nothing crazy, but yeah, I think it came out really cute. This is a really new YouTube channel, so everyone here is new, so welcome again. I'm so happy that I don't know, maybe you thought that my thumbnail was interesting, but hopefully you'll stick around. I'm Agatha. I'm a crocheter and a new knitter. So I started crocheting right before COVID, and then COVID happened, so crocheting was all I did. um, and I've always wanted to learn how to knit, but I'm a very tight crocheter and an even tighter knitter. So every time I would knit, I've made a couple of knitted items, but it would completely wreck my wrists, and I would have to take extremely long breaks from knitting projects to just let my wrists kind of recover. But you know, considering I've been crocheting for a few years now, I think that I finally was able to, I feel like I've got some level of knowledge now where I'm able to just tension better, and I can actually knit now without being in pain almost immediately. So yeah, I'm finally going, full on with knitting. So during COVID, I spent a lot of time not just crocheting but also buying a lot of yarn. So that is what I'm working now. If you haven't watched my previous videos, I would encourage you to do that, but basically I just went through my entire stash, categorized it all using Ravelry, figured out how much yarn I have, which is a lot, and now I'm gonna try to work it all down. Maybe not all of it down, it's a lot, but I want to work it down to a level that feels manageable to me. And that is what is a manageable stash. I feel like it's very subjective from one person to the next. I don't know what that looks like for me yet. I think I'll know when I get there. So, yeah, we're here together on this journey. I have a couple of successes from the last episode, and that is that I have no new yarn, which I think is pretty great considering that I did do the previous last two videos on stash busting, but I did buy yarn and I won yarn too. So yeah, I somehow managed to add even more yarn in during that month to my stash, but in the past 2 weeks I've added no new yarn, so that is great. I've also done a really good job at sticking to one project. So I am not a monogamous maker at all, which I have figured out that really works. It's a huge disadvantage for me because I'm not a quick crocheter, and I'm not a quick knitter. I'm a very new knitter. Um, I get really excited with new projects, and it's just a lot of fun to start something new and fresh and exciting. But I am not the best at finishing things, and that's not just with knitting or crocheting. That's just my personality. It's really hard for me to get to the finish line with things. Honestly, at this point, I have so many whips that I don't even consider them as existing whips. I just think of them as past whips because I'm not gonna work on them anymore. So yeah, but my my goal for this 2-week period was to finish a pair of mittens for my husband because he's leaving for hunting with his dad, and I wanted to make sure that he had mittens. I just thought that it was gonna be cute for him to have handmade mittens while being out and about, in the wilderness, in the forest, and whatever. I don't have them with me right now because I finished them yesterday and he really likes them, so he's wearing them now. But yeah, I should be showing now a clip of me trying to model the mittens. I think I did a really bad job at that, but yeah, afterwards, I handed it to him and I'm like, okay, your mittens are done. Go right ahead. And he put him on, and yeah, he obviously liked them a lot. um, I'm really happy that I got to capture this video. This was immediately after he put them on. So yeah, that was really cute. So the pattern that I used for the mittens are the Palmistry worsted by Stephanie Lotven. I enjoyed this pattern a lot. I don't know what it is about me, but I tend to modify the patterns that I follow a lot. What I found with the palmistry pattern was that it's perfectly good. I didn't really do any modifications except like the length of the ribbing and stuff, but it is written really well. And it's not the type of pattern that I would like. It's a very clear pattern, but I think that if I was an even more of a beginner knitter, then I don't think that I would have been able to very easily complete it. They are not written in a way that is directed to beginners. I think that is how I'm gonna put it. But they are extremely simple. They look really good. They feel really good. I really like how dense they are. I like them so much that I want to make some for myself. So the room that I am in now is my office, and I am at the lower level of my house. I'm also at the corner of the house, and where my feet go underneath my desk, the only thing that is on the other side of the drywall is just the foundation blocks of the house. So I live in Minnesota in the United States, which is notorious for having it has a reputation of being really cold here, and it can get really cold. And the thing is, like, when I'm working, I'm able to just put my left hand like underneath a blanket or a sweater or whatever. But my left hand, I always need to be using it to move around my mouse. So my fingers get really cold. And for the past couple winters, I haven't really been able to find a very comfortable way of counteracting that, because I could put a blanket over my hand, but that's not comfortable to use the mouse that way. So yeah, I think I want to make myself some mittens. And I think that the way that I would want to do that is by making the ribbing really long. Maybe even some decreases, because yeah. So maybe not decreases, because I do want to be able to like hold the mouse comfortably. But I do think I want to make like maybe a really long ribbing, and I want to close the thumb. And I think that that would be really nice. I think that that would be fun to make. I made the mittens really fast. I honestly would have made them even faster if it wasn't because there was a lot going on. So yeah, it took about 3 weeks to make the mittens. But again, there was a lot going on, If I had not had anything going on and just focused only on knitting, I would have completed them a lot quicker. So the yarn that I used for the mittens is Lion Brand Heartland in Black Canyon. It's a black yarn with these almost silvery speckles all around it, which is really nice. I know that working with black yarn is really difficult because it's really hard to see, but the speckles break it out really nicely and it makes it a lot easier to work with. It is a 100% acrylic yarn. I liked it. It is really soft and it is a little stretchy, but it is also a little bit splitty. I think that I would really like making him a hat or a beanie to go with the mittens. I mean, I have this whole skein and this portion which is left from the mittens. And this is my only finished project for this episode. So I need to figure out what is my new total for my grams. So I used up a total of 64 grams. I think it was 64 grams on the mittens. One of them, I only weighed one of them and it was 32 grams, so I'm just assuming that the second one was 64. So yeah. 64 grams is obviously not a lot. So right now I have 30,722 grams of yarn. And that is after already subtracting the 64 grams. So I still got a long way to go, but I'm not gonna let that bring me down. I am very happy that I did manage to finish a project, and I actually didn't get to show it to you guys, but I get to talk to you about it. So as I was finishing my mittens, I started thinking that it would probably be really cute if I made myself a scrap blanket. I don't like making blankets at all. They are extremely boring for me. But I think that considering the process that I'm going through, I think it would be really cute so that I can see like a progress of, what I worked on in order. So if you watched my previous video, the one right before this one, you'll know that 46% of my entire stash is Aran weight yarn. So I can definitely make a blanket using all of the same weight of yarn. I'm not in any rush to figure out exactly what it is that I'm gonna do, because the project that I just started is a super bulky weight yarn. So this yarn is not gonna be included in the blanket. But I'm working on it and I have a couple of ideas. So I don't know why Google recommended me this article, but I was reading about what I should have looked this up before I started recording, but this person believes that they figured out who created the very first original granny square. So we don't have a first name, but it is believed that it was created by a woman called Mrs. Phelps in the late 1800s. I feel like I read that it was like in 1880s or 1890s. I'm gonna link the article that I read in the video, so if you're interested on reading about it, I thought it was very fun to learn about, it is where it is believed that the Granny Square first was introduced into written form. So, if I remember correctly, it was believed that the very first time that it was ever mentioned was in a magazine that I believe it was called Prairie Farmer. And it shows the very first original Granny Square. And it doesn't look exactly the same as what we know of as a Granny Square. As you might imagine, there's the original, and then there were some variations that were done throughout the years to then become what we know now as a Granny Square. It wouldn't be sticking to the original pattern that Mrs. Phelps would have wanted us to follow, because with each round she changed color. But I don't know, I think that would be fun anyway. So that was my first idea. The second idea that I have was for making maybe hexie motifs out of each yarn. And Natalie at Nitty Natty is working on her own hexie blanket right now. And I really like the pattern that she's following. I don't know if I want to do exactly the same as Nitty Natty. I feel like that would not be very creative of me. But also, maybe it would be fun in the future to look at my hexie blanket and be like, yeah, that's the hexie blanket that I made at the same time as Nitty Natty. And just have that memory of following her as she how sad does that sound? Yeah, just like the memory of watching her travel throughout the United States and looking at yarn shops. I don't know, I've just been enjoying her podcast so much, and I've been living through her, just going through all of these different places, and it's a lot of fun. So that's an option. It sounds a little, I don't know if sad is the word, but I'm not entirely sold on that idea. But I think it would be cute. I mean, there's so many hexie patterns out there. But maybe. So the other option that I was thinking about is maybe the beekeeper's quilt. But this is an extremely popular pattern. And I know that a few years ago, several years ago, this was like all the rave, and everyone was making a beekeeper's quilt. But I know that a lot of people struggled through it. So you make individual hexies, and then I guess you're supposed to join them at the end. And that just sounds like a recipe for never finishing it. I would really like something that you can just join as you go, because otherwise I'm never gonna join them. I already have a whole tub of unfinished hexies that all I needed to do was to join them, and I never have. And I probably won't. For who knows how much longer. So I think I would really like to do something similar to the beekeeper's quilt if I can find a variation of it where you can just join as you go. The thing is, I know how to join as you go in crochet. That's not a problem. But how do you join as you go in knitting? I'm not entirely sure yet. So, Um, those are my options that I've just been playing with in my head. I have still some time to decide what I would like to make, but if you have any scrappy projects that maybe you have worked on or are currently working on, and it's fun and it's engaging, let me know in the comments. I need some more inspiration before I could make a decision. So yeah, I hope to hear what you think. So, considering I already talked to you about my stash busting plans, I think I'm just gonna keep talking about my other plans and ideas. Last time I talked about how I really want to make myself a rug because the IKEA plastic that I'm using right now to underneath my chair to not destroy the carpet, it's just not very long lasting. Um, this is not the first IKEA plastic protector that I've owned. It's actually the second one. And I asked for a new one for Christmas, this past Christmas, for 2022, because the previous one got wrecked and I needed a new one. But this one got wrecked even faster. So I don't want to buy it again. I just want to make myself a rug. And as you can probably tell, I have a little bit of a Pokemon theme going on in my office. So I wanted to make something Pokemon too. So I made this blanket. I've never shown it actually. But yeah, I made this blanket. I don't know how well you can see it. I'll probably take a better video while I still have sunlight today. But it's a Game Boy blanket. A Game Boy Color blanket. It's not just because I have this little boy. Oops, sorry. So I have this little tin. Oh my god, I bought this. I think it was like a week or two ago. I found it in Michael's. So if you want something, a little tin, cute tin with some treats that look like the direction pad, I don't know what you call it, but yeah, honestly, they taste pretty good. But yeah, you get some candy. I bought it for the tin. No one buys it for the candy. We're buying it for the tin. But this is super, super cute. I'll probably use it for my stitch markers, even though I already have a tin for my stitch markers, but I just needed it. But anyway, so this is based on just the Game Boy, not the Game Boy Color. Why do I feel like the Game Boy... Yeah. No, wait, hold on. So I feel like the Game Boy Colors only came in like this gray color, and then the screen didn't really have color in it. It was mostly just very gray scale, I suppose. And then the Game Boy Color came out, and not only were there colors on the screen, but the Game Boy were also very colorful. I think that's how it went. So I need to make sure though. I need to make sure I'm not saying something really dumb. Okay, yeah, I was actually right about that. I had to make sure that I wasn't saying something super dumb, but yeah. This is what a just plain old Game Boy looks like. And so this is a Game Boy Color blanket. And then I have a Slowpoke. Am I showing the back or am I showing the front? No, yeah, I'm showing the front. So Slowpokes are basically my spirit animal. So yeah, I just had to make it, and I love this blanket. But I have a lot of leftover from it. I didn't really follow a pattern for it. What I did was I found a pattern on Etsy, and it wasn't a pattern. It was a graph chart for it, which I eventually completely modified because I wanted it to be much closer to what a Game Boy Color actually looks like with the positioning of the trackpad and the A and B and stuff like that. I wanted it to be a lot closer to realistic. Um so I had no real direction on how much yarn to buy of each color. I have a lot of leftovers, especially the purple. If I were to trust the spreadsheet that I have of my stash, I still have almost 2.5 skeins of the purple. So I should definitely be able to make my rug with that. So I started thinking of what purple Pokemons I could make for my rug. And the obvious option is Gengar. But I already created a graph chart for me to make version 2 of this blanket. So it would be a Game Boy Advance in pink with a Gengar in the screen. I'm not ready to embark on that though. So I don't want to make myself a Gengar rug when I'm already gonna make myself a Gengar blanket. So I figured another round purple Pokemon that I could make would be Koffing. And how cute would a Koffing rug be? I already found an image of a Koffing that looks really cute, and I think I would like to follow. Um, so I should have enough yarn to make that. I don't know when I'm gonna start that, but I might start it before the next episode. So stick around and you might see it. Another item that I had to talk about regarding a plan was gonna be the Even Easier Eyelet Yoke by Knititude. However, I started it. So it's not a plan, it's a whip. Here, oh my, well, I don't think that you can see it properly. Um, but I did start it. It works up so freaking fast. I was originally gonna record this on Thursday, and that didn't happen. Today's Sunday. Um, so if I had recorded on Thursday, this would have been just in my queue to work on. But from Thursday to Friday, I've gotten a lot of work into this and in not many hours. It works up insanely fast. And I mean, it is super bulky weight yarn. So that makes sense. But yeah, it looks really cool. I would put it on. I mean, I suppose I can, but you're not going to be able to see it very well. But yeah, I can't really show it very well cuz I would need to stretch it. Um and I don't want these falling off the needles, but that is how long it is so far. Okay, I'm really worried about these falling off. But yeah, for this, I am using Lion Brand Woolies yarn in the colorway Toasted Almond. I really like this yarn because it looks like my cat's fur. I have a tortoiseshell calico-y cat, and the deep black and rich brown in this yarn reminds me of her. I wish it had speckles of white. That would make it the most perfect colorway. Unfortunately, it doesn't. But I like it I like the colors very much. I like how it works up so far. I think it looks cute. I like the colorway. I guess that's what it matters. And it's definitely gonna wash very easily since it's mostly just acrylic. So this is a really new pattern. Um, it only came out, I don't believe it's been out for a month just yet. I think it's only been a few weeks maybe. So there's only uh 50 projects of it on Ravelry, but no one has yet put into their notes what cast on did they use. So Chantal doesn't really say what cast on to use. It just says cast on. So I did a long tail cast on. But I feel like I don't know if you can see this, but I just think I wish that I had done an even stretchier cast on. Maybe it'll look better after I block it. Hopefully it'll stretch out. But yeah, I just wish that someone had noted what cast on they used, but we'll see. I hope I don't regret using a long tail cast on. It is stretchy. I'm able to put it on and off, but I just don't want it to be like tightest at the very top of the ribbing. We'll see how it goes. But the pattern is ridiculously simple. Like, she's not joking when she called it the even easier Eyelet yoke. So far, it is very easy. But yeah, these are working up really well. I'm very happy with how fast it's working up. Honestly, I think that I should be able to finish this in the next few days. I think so. So now that I've talked about my whips, I want to talk about my acquisitions. And if you've been paying attention, you know that it's not yarn. So, I am now at the point where I own a lot of knitting needles, and I needed a way to keep them together because I'm cheap. I'm not gonna buy a whole like needle set if I don't know yet if I'm gonna be able to knit comfortably without hurting my wrists. So I've just been buying circular needles, um, and one by one as I've been needing them. But I definitely own enough now that I just needed a way to keep them in one place in a comfortable way. And I looked for needle binders online, but they're not cheap, which makes no sense because it's just a binder. I swear I could go to Goodwill or a thrift store or something and find old photo albums or binders and just use that. So I was in Walmart, and we always browse the clearance section, so that's what we did, and I found this binder, and it was a whole $3. So you know I got it. It is a lot bigger than what I would have preferred, but you can't beat $3. If I went to the thrift store and looked for binders, they would probably be more than $3 because thrift store prices are insane now. But yeah, I saw this. It's cute. It's $3. Did I mention it was $3? So yeah, now I'm just able to have like all of my needles here, and it's been working really well. It is a little bit of a pain to lug this around the house, um, but you can't beat that price. And it is very cute. I don't know why I still have this tag. I'm the type, I don't know why. I like to keep tags on my things. If you can see my Pokemon plushies, you might be able to see that some of them still have the tag. I don't know why I do that. I feel like when I was growing up with the Beanie Babies, my mom had a friend that collected Beanie Babies, and she would never remove the tags because she said that if you did, they would lose value. And maybe that stuck with me, but I don't like to remove the tags off of things, except clothes, I suppose, but I need to remove the tag off of this. I don't need it anymore. I am gonna leave that sticker that says it was $3 though. I love a good sale. So I don't tend, if I buy something, an object, not like clothing, that is on a really good price, I'll tend to leave the tags on it so that I can go back and see how much it was worth and be excited all over again about how cheap it was. But yeah, I'm really excited about my needle binder. If you are looking for one too, maybe just give your Walmart clearance section a chance. So ever since I moved to rural Minnesota, I have to do all of my shopping basically in Walmart, and you would be surprised with what kind of stuff you can find at Walmart. If you're the type of person that you don't step foot in a Walmart, I would encourage you to do so. You can find some really nice stuff. Alright, now to life updates. There was a lot that went on this past couple weeks. The main reason why I wasn't able to finish the mittens as fast as I could have otherwise is because we held, my husband and I, our reception party. So we got married in May of this year, 2023. But his family is way bigger than mine, and honestly, I feel like even if he had a small family, it would still be bigger than mine. So I have a very small family. So if he had invited his whole family to our wedding day, he would have literally had like 50 people on his side, and I would have had my 7 attendees. So, did I have 7 people? No, I had 5 people for me. So, yeah. We decided that we were gonna host the reception party on a different day, and that was September 30th. So we had the party, and it was a really, really good time. I did know for a fact I wanted to have karaoke. So I bought the projector and the screen on Amazon. I found some really cheap options, and they worked really well. If you're looking for a projector that's not gonna break the bank, but it does exactly what it needs to do, I'm gonna recommend the projector that I bought. I like it a lot. So even if the projector that I bought says that it doesn't work with casting, you are able to just plug in a Chromecast in it, and it works. And it might have been on sale, but yeah, it was just $60. It's a really nice projector. I like it a lot. And then the projector screen was just $20, and it's huge. It's 100 inches across. And then also, this is the 3rd year that my husband and I have been trying to watch as many spooky movies as possible during the entire month of October. And spooky is it's a very broad term for us. So we do have some actually scary movies in our queue to watch, but it's also like sci-fi or Halloween themed or PG movies. So on the very first day of October, we went to one of our local movie theaters and we watched The Exorcist, which is only the second time in my life that I've watched the movie because growing up, I can't handle scary movies very well, especially if it is like supernatural stuff, like ghosts or demons or I just talking about it is making me anxious. Uh, so yeah, I can't deal with them good at all. So I watched The Exorcist for the first time when I was maybe 20 years old. And it's a fairly old movie by now, so the effects don't really translate. And that is really helpful for me because, yeah, the movie is scary, and there are some like really vulgar moments in there that I had forgotten about. But with like the head twisting stuff and all that, like it looks so fake that it doesn't get to me. So, yeah, we watched that. I still feel awkward just talking about it. Maybe coffee is not the right answer to calm down, but after that, we watched Scooby Doo Zombie Island, and that was really cute. I don't know why, but it felt like watching an anime. And we would just keep talking about it as we were watching the movie. Like, whoever animated this movie has some really heavy anime, like inspiration, maybe? I don't know. But at the end of the movie, we realized that every single one of the animators were Japanese. So that'll explain it. That was a really good palate cleanser from what we had watched the night before. So after that, we watched An American Werewolf in London, which I had never watched before, and that was really fun. There's like an intimate scene between the guy and his romantic interest that went on a little too long for my taste. But then when the werewolf transformation part or scene happens, it's also really long, which was really cool. It was really cool to see how screenwriter or director or whatever really spent a lot of time of thinking what would that feel like to transform into a werewolf. And honestly, I would recommend the movie just for that scene. I thought it was really fun. It was really cool. I liked the movie. So after that, we watched Psycho, which I had never watched before. Like, obviously, everyone knows the scene of the lady in the shower having the shirt having the shower curtain pulled open and her screaming. But I had never watched the movie before, and I actually didn't know what it was about at all. So that was really fun. And because I had bought the projector and projector screen for the karaoke for the party, we were able to put up the projector on our deck. And we somehow managed to get the couch outside, and we let the cats out. We had, the cat tunnel that were able to hang out with us. And it was honestly like pretty chilly night that night, so we were all like bundled up and watching the movie, and it was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. So we watched that, and now we are watching E.T. We haven't finished it yet. We tend to watch the first half one night and then finish it the next night. I don't know why. It's really hard for me to just sit down and watch a movie. And I cannot knit or crochet while watching movies. I tend to be looking at every single stitch that I do. So with it just doesn't really work really well with movies because the visual aspect of it is so much of the experience. So I get to miss a lot of things. So I decided that I'll start listening to books a lot more. So this year, I binge listened to Harry Potter twice. I just love those books so much. There's just nothing that compares to it. That was my childhood. I love Harry Potter so much. And I am on the lookout for something that can compare. That might be a losing battle. But yeah, I binge listened to Harry Potter twice in the spring and summer. And then I also listened to Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and that was really fun. I've obviously watched the movies. Yeah, I listened to Pride and Prejudice. I had never read or listened to the book, so I enjoyed that very much. And then over the summer, I heard on Instagram about this book called The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandanna. Yeah, and that's probably not how you pronounce it. But I really wanted to like it because if you just read the description, it is a young adult book that's got magic and fantasy in it. But at this point, it's not bad. I think that just considering the fact that the book that I listened to right before this one was literally Pride and Prejudice, I just feel like I'm listening to Pride and Prejudice again. So I feel like the universe that this author has created for the witches is really interesting, and she talks about these things that I wish she would explore a lot more, but it focuses so much on the romantic interest. And the romantic interest is a Mr. Darcy kind of guy. And obviously the author likes Jane Austen because she actually mentions her works in the book. I get annoyed sometimes when books and movies focus so much on the romantic interest, especially when it's a fantasy situation. It's like I don't give me romance. Romance already exists in our world. Talk to me about the witches and talk to me about the society that they are in and their problems and the potions that she's brewing, or I wish that so much time wasn't spent talking about the romantic interest. But am committed to finishing this book because I'm not getting another Audible credit until a few weeks from now. So I'm just gonna have to suck it up and listen to it. So unfortunately, that's not a very good review about this book. I hope that I'll change my mind by the time that I finish. So I've been talking for a long time now. And I think that's gonna be it for today. So yeah, if you have another book to recommend me, I'll take it. Otherwise, first we have, so I share the Audible account with my sister, and she had already bought all of the George R.R. Martin books, the Fire and Ice books, but for some reason we don't have the first book, and I don't know why that is. So unless I get any recommendations for a fantasy young adult book that is not heavy on the romantic interest, then I'll probably just buy the first book of Fire and Ice and just start to listen to those. And if you have any ideas for the scrap blanket, that would be great, especially if it's like a join as you go situation. But yeah, send me all of your recommendations. I love browsing patterns, so I spend a little too much time doing that actually. But if you're still here, thank you so much for sticking around. And if you liked it, please do all of the things so that you can see me again. So I hope I'll see you next time.